All America, all the time. Sit down, buckle up, and get ready for the Dan Bongino Show.
Okay, man, listen, no bullshit. I think you know, like, I'm obviously a Trump supporter and a MAGA guy, so it's it's always hard for me to be completely objective about a speech. And unlike other liberal opinion people who pretend to be journalists and objective, I'm not full of shit like you guys. I'm already telling you I've got a certain partisan bias when it comes to political analysis that is a little bit hard to shake. Throwing all of that out, I promise you, I'm doing my best to take a down-the-middle approach to this. You just can't deny last night was a banger of a speech. Is it going to change the course of American politics forever? No, these things tend to be very temporary, even little bumps, because the news cycle's like 2 minutes long now. But I would rather be on Trump's side last night than his opponents, correct? I think all of you in the audience are nodding your heads. Yes, that's absolutely correct. Come on, I was reading the chat earlier. I was in there earlier talking to some folks. What am I, Dan Bongino Show or D Bongino Show in the chat? I don't even know my own handle there. I was in there earlier chatting. I was listening to you all or reading your posts in there. You know it was a banger. I saw last night was epic. Last night was probably his best State of the Union address. And it's easy for me to say that, but I want to produce receipts, facts, to show. I can't prove it to you. It's an opinion. It was the best. You can have another opinion. Hey, I don't think it was the best. Well, whatever. But I want to produce some receipts that I think the opinion I have that this was his best one, his best speech, one of his finest moments. Produce some receipts that I'm right. And I think you know I'm right. Because you can always gauge the success of a political tactic in a partisan battle, which every speech is. It's a battle of ideas. By what? By what? Who remembers the P1s in the Bongino army? Your opponent's reaction. Your opponent's reaction. Watch what they do and then do the compare and contrast. The diamond on the black background. The diamond always looks like it has a little more luster on a really dark background. Why? It's the same freaking diamond. It's the contrast. The brain sees it different. The brain saw the same speech different because of the Democrats' reaction last night. That's how we're going to analyze it today. Don't miss a second of today's show. It's going to be a banger. Congressman Eli Crane coming up in about an hour and a half, so don't miss that. Really good guy out of Arizona, too. All Family Pharmacy. Know them, love them. They let you plan ahead with medication shipped right to your door. What's the benefit of that? You don't got to go knocking on a pharmacy window. Let me in an emergency. You have it in your own house. How do you get these great medications? Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bongino. Learn more about them. Use code Bongino10, Bongino 10, to save 10% in your next order. Prescription provided. Thank you, All Family Pharmacy. And our next sponsor, Chapter. I've been on the inside. I've seen some of these broken government programs are horrendous. And there's not much more in the government broken than Medicare. It is a mess, folks. It is a really broken system. People rely on this. Most people think they're getting accurate information. Some Medicare agents might push Medicare Advantage plans because that's where the commissions are, not because they're actually best for you. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Chapter, like chapter in a book. Chapter doesn't work for big insurance, and they don't take marching orders from Washington. They're independent, and they can help walk you through every option. Original Medicare, Supplement Advantage, Part D, and they'll tell you exactly what you gain, what you give up, and what it really costs. One woman, Jill, said her Chapter advisor showed her options she didn't even see on Medicare's own website. Now, doesn't that sound like a broken system to you? If you want more clarity, here's what to do. Dial pound 250 on your phone and say Medicare help. The average senior who connects with Chapter saves about $1,100 a year just by getting honest advice. So if you're on Medicare or getting close, don't guess. Use Chapter. Dial pound 250 and say Medicare help. That's pound 250 and say Medicare help. Thank you, Chapter. Fellas, big loaded show today. A ton to talk about. I'm going to get to the State of the Union in a second. I just want to bounce around a little bit. I'm doing it for a reason because I want to address yesterday's show too. First, regarding the State of the Union, folks, keep this in your head as I talk through the show today. Politics is always a couple of very simple things. If you don't understand this, don't get into politics. Don't. Politics is sound bites and snapshots. That's all it is. No, it's not. It's white papers, detailed policy analysis. I wish it were. You are an extremely informed audience. You are. I'm not kissing your ass for any other reason. I'm just telling you the truth. You guys listen every day. The Bongino Army tunes in. We got 41,000 people. We're only, 5 minutes into the show. 41,000 people at 10 a.m. in the morning are watching this show right now. Why? Because you want to be informed about politics. It's not a freaking show about air hockey. You guys and ladies know more than most people about politics. A lot of folks are not like that. It's not a knock. It's not an insult. Some folks have, some of their jobs are particularly intense. They're going through a stressful time in their life. They just don't have time to go through every single detailed policy analyze every single policy in detail. So what they see, listen, P1s, you know this, Bongino Army folks, what they see and perceive as, quote, politics are just pictures and short sound clips. What we call on this show, sound bites and snapshots. A large group of American citizens only get their politics through that because they just don't have the time. They're doing other things. It's not a knock. It's just a fact. There's an opportunity cost to time. The sound bites from last night from President Trump were off the charts. Off the charts. Hey, you guys want to stand if you support America? And Democrats are like, fuck it. I'm not going to stand. The snapshots were even worse. The pictures, they looked like they were going to fall asleep. I think I saw Swazi, the congressman up from New York, from Long Island, or Long Island, is it? Sean Farris said it the right way yesterday, Long Island. Swazi looked like he was going to fall asleep. Folks, sound bites and snapshots. Measure your opponent's reaction, and the diamond will seem like it's even more lustrous, even though it's the same diamond. The Democrats' reaction was an absolute atrocity. They are usually better at this. The contrast of Trump's speech, if it was to an empty room, with Democrats screaming, Al Green with that stupid sign, F-ICE pins on, the contrast made the speech seem that much better. Always gauge your success by your opponent's reaction. And then when you've got Democrats, and I'll get to this in a little bit, screaming that speech was definitely racist, now you know you won because they don't have anything else. That's their go-to line everywhere. I want you to watch this video. Hat tip Daily Wire for this, by the way, before I get into I'm going to bounce around a little bit for a reason because there's some really important stuff I want to address yesterday's show too. However, I want you to, again, measure it by your opponent's reaction. But how could you react to a speech that hasn't even happened yet? This is the modern Democrat. And this is why I love having an informed audience like you and not like these kids. Check this out.
College kids are telling us Trump's State of the Union didn't go so well. The only problem? It's tomorrow. Rate Trump's State of the Union speech 1 out of 10. 1's the worst, 10's the best.
Negatives.
And why?
I think we all know a lot of reasons.
Yeah. What about the State of the Union last night? 1 to 10.
It was like a 1 or 2. I mean, it was all over the place.
Probably just giving a 0 overall.
Gonna give it a 1.
And why do you say 1?
I don't think he's very articulate.
How did Trump do at the State of the Union?
0. I'll be real, I didn't watch it.
I didn't really watch it much. I watched it for a little bit, but turned it off.
The State of the Union last night. How was that 1 to 10?
I didn't know it was last night. I thought it was tomorrow.
No, you're good. You passed the test. Good job.
My hope in humankind is saved. At least one person, hat tip to that young lady, knew that the speech hadn't happened yet. You are an informed audience. You. Be proud of that. Folks, a lot of people are not. They'll gauge a speech that hasn't even happened yet. I'm going to get back to it in a second, but I wanted to address something. Thank you for all of the, and you know who you are, for whether it was direct messages, emails, texts. Yesterday was an important show. I was, of course, it's part of the business, folks. Just a fact, not a big deal. But of course, there were some pretty disgusting, gross attacks lobbed at me from a bunch of, drunks and bums and losers and, whatever, man. It's part of the business. It's never a pleasurable experience. But listen, I feel like I was born to do this, and it's part of the job. It really is. An unfortunate part, but it is. But I brought it up yesterday because, folks, the security environment in this country is deteriorating so badly, and people like President Trump are in real danger because of hysterical language and other things like that. You had some lunatic on the web yesterday, same guy who's had people show up at my house. Again, I don't talk about this stuff too much because I don't want to incentivize more of it, but I'm genuinely concerned, having been a threat analyst on the Secret Service side and a protective intelligence squad, that something bad is going to happen. It's only a matter of time. Folks, you can have the greatest Secret Service in the world or protective enterprise surrounding you. The bottom line is you're always in reactive mode. I want you to remember this. When the IRA almost got Margaret Thatcher in that hotel bombing, they said, you guys have to be lucky every day. We just have to be lucky once. The odds are not in our favor. We can't be out there, whether it's about Erica Kirk or someone else, just spinning up insane, crazy theories that she had her husband killed, and Donald Trump is the Satan incarnate and the son of Hitler. You just can't engage with that without incentivizing insanity. I'll tell you what I mean in a second. I want to play this clip first. Here's President Trump. Listen, President Trump. He does not get hysterical about this stuff because I think he understands the more he talks about it, the worse it gets. And President Trump, I talked to him after he was shot in Butler at the RNC. I talked to him. I hate that I'm not, I know people stuff, whatever. The point is he was very sedate about it. I think he was calming himself down almost. He's very careful when he mentions this stuff. But I don't know if you guys caught this yesterday, this soundbite, but this is important. This is clearly on his mind, and it should be, given this threat environment. Check.
I don't know how long I'll be around. Got a lot of people gunning for me, don't I? Huh? But I will not forget them. I'm never going to forget them.
Now, I pulled that clip from, if you saw the bug up in the corner, not the bug, it's a TV term, the RT, Russian television. I pulled it there for a reason. This is playing overseas too, folks. You don't think there are foreign actors as well that would love to incentivize some lunatic to do something crazy in this country? Listen to me. Again, whether you love the show, hate the show, love me, hate me, fine, fair enough. You don't have to be here. I've got a loyal army of people. We're not going anywhere. No matter how many insults you lob or dumb shit you say or morons show up, it doesn't make a difference. We're not going anywhere ever, okay? We'll leave when I'm ready to go. That's it. But you can't question what I've done and the experience I have. I've been out there. And when you're getting protective intelligence cases, whether it was in the Obama or Clinton or Bush era where I worked as an agent, and you're out interviewing people, here's the problem. Some of these people saying, Erica was involved in, or implying that she was involved in the death of her husband, or implying that President Trump, again, is Hitler or a Nazi who's going to kill in the second coming of the Holocaust, all these people. I know what you're thinking if you've never done threat analysis. You're probably thinking, whatever, I can get some clicks off this. And you probably think, this is just fun for me. I can make some money. What you don't understand is there are a group of sociopaths out there, insane people. I've interviewed hundreds of them, who will say straight to your face, like, oh, no, that threat I sent to President Bush, President Clinton, President Obama, that was nothing. It was no big deal. It was just blowing off some steam. And then an hour later, you'll catch them sharpening their knives to show up at an event to try to stab the guy in the neck. You have to get really good at seeing through this. When you're talking like that, there's a group of lunatics out there who don't see this the same way a sane person does. They think it's space aliens beaming a message into their brain. Don't laugh at this tinfoil cap thing. We've actually found them. Where people believe if they insulate their brains against brain waves, that their brain doesn't act like a normal person's functioning cerebral cortex. Folks, my experience scared the hell out of me. Unfortunately, we've been on the receiving end of a lot of this crap. This stuff has a penalty and a consequence. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to let it happen. You want to incentivize this crazy, wackadoodle bullshit behavior, then you better damn well understand there's a consequence for it. The consequence is you're going to have that stuff on your hands if this thing escalates. And we all hope and pray it doesn't. There is no pathway for political violence in any country without collapsing the entire place into anarchy. None. Zero. And we have consistently and proudly and vigorously stated that for the 10 years I've been on the air doing this show. Okay, getting back to the State of the Union, I wanted to address that. And again, thank you all for the messages yesterday. I appreciate it, despite the lunatics and the drunks and the bums. The State of the Union last night. Snapshots and sound bites always measure the success of a speech, a political event, whatever it is, by your opponent's reaction. The contrast setup. One of the things you never want to do in politics, ever. Listen, I ran, it was not successful, almost won, horseshoes and hand grenades. There's no almost. I'm very proud of that. I ran on principles in a bunch of Democrat districts. And, listen, you learn a lot. I wrote a whole book about sometimes you come up short and you dust off, but you learn more sometimes from where you came up short than you do the big W's. And one of the things I learned is you really, really have to never ask a question in politics you're not sure about the answer. And you should never hold a rally if you're unsure what's going to happen. Ever. You know what, Guy, can you put up political playbook first? I'm going a little out of order, but this is important. Folks, listen to me. If you're ever thinking about running for office, I've been to political events for others. This one guy was running for governor in Maryland one time. He's like, blowout fundraiser. I was like, yeah, I'll go. I'll help support this guy. There were like 2 people there. And when there's 2 people there, you can't just leave this up a second. You can't just leave because the 2 people still paid for the event. This poor guy, I felt terrible for him. Playbook, what Trump got right and wrong last night. So they had this big, huge, they wanted like a No Kings rally protesting the State of the Union last night. Never ask a question you don't know the answer to. They note that a few hundred people braved the cold to gather for the People's State of the Union, joining 36 Democrat members of Congress who boycotted the Trump address. But the No Kings Day protest, this was not, they note. It was clear to just about everyone in the shivering crowd that the turnout left something to be desired. They talked to this lady. She says, I thought there would be more people. Don't ask a question you don't know the answer to. This happens to everyone across the aisle. Everyone has a fundraiser that's a dog. I was at a political rally once up on Capitol Hill. They asked me to show up. It was some Tea Party type event against the IRS. There were probably 10 people there. It happens. It never looks good. Don't ask questions you don't know the answer to. And don't hold a counter rally that's going to create a contrast. Soundbite snapshots. Soundbite snapshots. That's all politics is for a good chunk of people who vote. That's the soundbite snapshot you want playbook? Yeah, I thought there'd be more people here. Yeah, so did you. So did you. And you thought I thought there was this rage against Donald Trump and all these people going to show up for the People's State of the Union. I guarantee you there weren't even hundreds of people. There were probably tens of people. Here's the other picture they put out there. Here's their People's State of the Union rally. Here's Senator Chris Murphy gets up on stage boycotting. Don't ask questions you don't know the answer to. And I guess, listen, I don't recommend, again, security stuff is important, whatever. However, this is not the soundbite and snapshot you want at your People's State of the Union. He's giving some stupid speech, and a guy jumps up on the stage. He's like, yeah, man, you guys basically suck. This is the soundbite and snapshot they get. Check this out.
This is the reason that she came here to the United States, to speak truth to power, to explain the trials and tribulations that every immigrant, that every refugee goes through to get here, and to press this country to the border. I stuck in the border. Go Trump! Go Trump! Hey Murphy, you're a scumbag. Thanks, man. Thanks, buddy.
Sound bites and snapshots, kids. There it is. Don't ask questions you don't have the answer to. That was the People's State of the Union with tens of people at it. Tens, not hundreds, tens. Here was their other rally they had last night in defiance of the State of the Union. I don't even know how to explain what this is. They have a bunch of people in frog costumes on a stage. Folks, I'm It's a talk show. I'm at a loss for words. It happens sometimes. I'm just going to display the visuals on this, and you can process the inputs and form your own output. Is this really the answer you wanted to your question last night about Trump's State of the Union? Are you sure about that? Check this out.
I'm a mother. I'm a physician, and I have a flag. And I am the proud representative for Oregon's 3rd Congressional District. Yes, thank you, thank you. And tonight, I defy Trump and his authoritarian project by standing in joyful, radical, peaceful resistance with the Portland Frog Brigade.
Folks, I got to tell you, I don't even know like what that was about or what they were thinking. I just put it up. I saw it on Chaya's account, Libs at TikTok, because I thought it was just hilarious. Listen to Dan on this one, please. Talking about myself in third person, Bob Dolson. Listen to me. Everyone's going to give you analysis today about the highlights, and I'm going to get to that too. Trump knocked it out of the park. I say that as objectively as possible. It was a great speech. But if I don't give you a deeper analysis, you're just going to hear the same thing over and over again. I want you to view it through this lens. The purpose of this show is a little bit different today. The Democrat reaction is as important as the Trump speech because it makes the parallel lines appear that they're leaning in towards each other. It makes the same speech seem that much better when you contrast it with the Democrats' absolute face plant. Look at some of these pictures from last night's speech. Put up, that was it from Tyler. We're talking about this array of photos. Remember, this is the imagery that people are going to see. Not everyone stayed up last night like we did to watch the whole speech. It's Tyler Bauer. Here's some of them. I think that's Swazi. Look at it. Here's the Democrat congressman from Long Island. I don't know what he's doing right there. He's got his face in his, like, you're not interested? It's the State of the Union. It's not the State of the Republican Union. It's the State of the Union. There's Swazi. There's Ilhan Omar screaming next to Rashida Tlaib. There's Liz Warren. It looks like she's in the process of maybe she's been there too long and needed a bathroom. I don't know. Next to Coons. This lady looks totally uninterested in what the hell's going on in this speech. These are the snapshots you want. Don't ask questions you don't know the answer to. Folks, I'll address this with Congressman Crane coming up later, but this was an open book test. The State of the Union is the same thing every year, okay? Republicans don't like it when Joe Biden was up there and Barack Obama. Democrats don't like it when it was Trump or Bush. You just go. You go. They say, God bless America. You clap. It's an open book test. Do you understand how hard it is to F up the State of the Union? You don't have to get up for everything. Republicans don't do it either. But if freaking Obama or Biden gives some applause line like, we love our troops or whatever, you get up, you clap because it's just the right thing to do. Nobody is going to remember you getting up and clapping for the troops because it's the right thing to do. It happens all the time. However, they will remember you sitting on your Twinkie-eating ass and doing absolutely nothing while like, hey, salute our troops. This woman's child was murdered. Maybe we should, recognize her. No, I'm not going to recognize her. It's an open book test, you dipshits. How do you screw this up? This is where Trump last night, President Trump, absolutely dog-walked the Dems. He set this easy trap. It wasn't even complicated. I'd love to tell you it was four-dimensional chess. It wasn't. It was no dimension. It was just so easy for them to pass this test. But President Trump knows that the Democrat TDS show your ass problem I discussed yesterday, listen to yesterday's show if you want to detail what that is so real that they can't even pass an open book test on grade 1 math. He freaking dog walked them last night into a trap. And I mean like a bear trap, 20 feet away, painted black, on all white snow with a sign that says, this will hurt if you step in it. And the Democrats are like, let me try that out. It's like the Ren and Stimpy episode with the don't press the red button. We haven't mentioned Ren and Stimpy in a long time. And Stimps and J Cat, he can't stop. They can't stop. They walked right in the trap. Here's what I mean. Here's President Trump. He's asking a pretty simple question. Most sane Americans do not want to see men's penises in the women's room, and they don't want kids' bodies mutilated. It's pretty popular amongst Americans to stop that kind of stuff for obvious reasons. walks them right in the trap. Hey, you guys want to stand if you support basically the integrity of children's bodies? Democrats are like, nah, we'll sit on our asses right here. This is not going to look good in campaign ads at all. Check this out.
No state can be allowed to rip children from their parents' arms and transition them to a new gender against the parents' will. Who would believe that we've been talking about this? We must ban it, and we must ban it immediately. Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy, I'm telling you. They're crazy. Amazing. Gavin. Boy, oh boy. We're lucky we have a country. With people like this, Democrats are destroying our country, but we've stopped it just in the nick of time, didn't we?
He just dog walked you. I'd say that with the deepest sense of sincerity, pulling myself out of the argument. Nobody wants men's penises in the women's room. Nobody wants kids cut up. You want to be an adult? You want to cut your body up? It's your choice. I don't think it's smart, but whatever, man. Do your thing. Nobody's smart. And what do? You sit on your ass. This was a ground ball. He just dog walked you. Bear trap, 20 feet ahead. Don't step in it. Hold on, let me test this out. Oh, shit, that hurt. He just dog walked you idiots. It's an open book test, man. And he did it over and over. Now, you may say, Dan, all right, but the Democrats are married to this trans thing. There are still some lunatics on the left, and you're not wrong, that actually support, cutting off your unit and your nuts and throwing them in a jar somewhere. And some liberals love this stuff. They love nut cutting and slice them off, kids. That's their thing. So they're not going to stand up. All right, whatever. Well, then how do you explain this one? You've got the mother of Miss Zarutska, who was tragically killed and murdered on a bus in North Carolina. So they recognize the mom, who's obviously just still devastated over this brutal knifing. You all saw it on the bus. They bring the mother into the chamber, basically to say, we're going to do everything we can to bring justice. We're focused on public safety. You're living in a safer America now. Folks, on a very serious note, no messing around. Not that we were before, but on this. This was a bunt. This was a bunt. There's nothing partisan about this. Only the craziest of absolute sociopathic lunatics on the left would be upset if you get up and just acknowledge that this woman's been through hell. Still. Nope. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't even think this was any attempt to trap anyone. I really don't. I think President Trump was just acknowledging this woman's tragedy and expected just the Democrats. Well, clearly they're not this crazy. No, they are. Check it out for yourself.
On that train, no one will ever forget the expression of terror on Irina's face as she looked up at her attacker in the last seconds of her life. She died instantly. She had escaped a brutal war only to be slain by a hardened criminal, set free to kill in America, came in through open borders. Mrs. Zarutska, tonight I promise you we will ensure justice for your magnificent daughter, Irina. How do you not stand? How do you not stand? I'm asking this Congress.
What do you even say to that? And I want to applaud the president, too, for making sure the audience understands, listening at home, that these absolute slime bags didn't want to even get up and acknowledge the horror this poor woman's been through. It's an open book test. I swear to you, I don't even think he was I think he was doing that to acknowledge that he's serious about crime and wanted to make sure people think in stories and narratives that they saw an example of what can happen when national security and public safety breaks down. I don't even think that was a trap. That was a trap. That's even worse than the bear trap example. That's the Democrats walking in the snow, putting their own bear trap out, and then stepping in their own trap. He didn't even put it out there. Can you screw this thing up anymore? Don't tell me. Listen, I'm going to play some reaction. In case you think, oh gosh, you're pretending to be objective. You're full of it. You love Trump, whatever. I'm going to play reaction from lefties. Axelrod, John Carl, activists and media people who had the same reaction I did, by the way. That, hey man, like maybe this was a pretty good moment for Trump and you probably should just let it go. This was definitely a trap. And of course, the dumbasses walked right in it. Contrast. This is a simple question. Easy. Bunt. Ground ball, man. President Trump knows they're going to sit on their asses and do nothing because they're the Democrats. When he gives applause lines, even basic applause lines. Hey, do you like America? Stand up. Democrat, screw it. This is another one. Stand up if you think it's your duty to protect American citizens over illegals. Folks, last time I checked, when I swore in to the FBI job and the Secret Service job, you swear to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. I thought that was the oath, like you swore to it, right? This is an easy one. You've already given the oath, correct? Am I crazy? Folks in the chat, am I nuts? Pretty much everyone takes the same oath. If you don't want to take the oath, then don't take the freaking job. This was a grounder. But he set them up beautifully with this one. And these idiots walked right in it again. Stand up if it's your duty to protect the American citizens, just like you swore in your oath. Watch this.
Tonight, I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
How do you fuck that up? How? Just get up, do a golf clap. Nobody's going to remember it. If someone says, in a campaign ad in a primary for the Democrats, this is you golf clapping for President Trump, your response should be, and I'm not giving Democrats campaign advice, listen, I swore an oath to protect the American citizens. I don't care if you're a Democrat, say I love illegals too, but my first duty is to the American citizen. There's an easy response. It's not hard, man. There's a freaking bunt. This is the ball on 1st and inches to get into the end zone, and you don't score a touchdown. You don't score a touchdown, and they're missing 2 players on the field due to injury. How do you mess this up? How do you mess this up? He gave it to you. The silver platter. Get up. Golf clap. Talk about the biggest colossal F-up. Snapshots, sound bites, contrast. If you're looking at politics any other way, you're doing it wrong. Here was another unbelievable moment, and I bring up this yesterday in light of yesterday's show as well. Erica Kirk, obviously Charlie's wife, was at the State of the Union yesterday, recognized by President Trump, and I never miss an opportunity to recognize both Erica and Charlie, God rest his beautiful soul. I never miss an opportunity to recognize his contributions to the movement. I don't want you to ever forget, folks. A lot of people knew Charlie. A lot of people had a piece of Charlie's life. Charlie was very generous with his time with people. Charlie didn't like making enemies. Charlie preferred to build bridges. He's going to be missed. That bridge is gone, and it's going to take a lot of effort. And I said this. I was at the Arizona memorial service for Charlie, and I was talking to a friend of mine in the cabinet, and I was talking to Pete, I mean, for what it's worth, but Pete agreed. I said to him, you know, there are some figures that are not replaceable. And unfortunately, I've seen this twice, having taken over Rush Limbaugh's spot on the radio on many of the stations. I acknowledged from day one, guys, if you're waiting for Rush Limbaugh, the sequel, like, tune out, because I'm not it. I'm no Rush Limbaugh. And I'm no Charlie either. There was no more effective communicator out there on college campuses. And to get in on use, you know, I remember saying him once, talking to him about, we had this big long conversation about socials and stuff. And he said, I can't get off. We were talking about a website. He goes, I can't get off because a lot of young kids find us there. To him, it wasn't about the money or anything like that. He won't be replaced. And I said to Pete that day, I said, we shouldn't talk like that. Because, and he agreed, because a lot of people were saying, oh, we're going to have to find someone. But there's no replacing him. There's none. It's going to take collective efforts from a bunch of people to try to build that bridge again. It was President Trump recognizing Erica last night.
My great friend, Charlie Kirk, a great guy, great man. So last year, Charlie was violently murdered by an assassin and martyred, really martyred for his beliefs. His wonderful wife, Erica, is with us tonight. Erica, please stand. Thank you, Erica.
And I get it. You're going to get a bunch of assholes and losers today. I don't like what she wore. She didn't cry enough. She cried too much. The angle of her chin was off. She should have done this. Really? Was your husband shot in the neck? How did you respond, you fucking piece of shit? There a textbook for that? I'm unaware. If it's a textbook for that, I don't want to read it. Her ear was dipped at a slight angle, and I analyzed it with my complete lack of any behavioral analytical skills at all. Shut the fuck up. Woman lost her husband. He was shot in the neck on for the entire world to see. In all of its disgusting, horrifying detail. The outfit was black, but it should have been a darker black because, oh, shut your fucking pie hole, man. Stupid ass. I get Israel. I get the Jews. I get it. I understand. You think it's my first rodeo with you dipshits? I know exactly what you're doing. So tired of it, man. And I'm glad to see yesterday was a unified stance against this continued bullshit. Just insanity. And thank you, President Trump, for taking a stand and bringing Miss Erica Kirk to the State of the Union. I've got a couple more clips from this, but I want to get to this because this is the most important part of the show. I've got one more from the speech. There were a number of great moments, by the way. You saw the Olympic team. You saw National Guardsman Wolf get his medal. Just amazing moments. These are incredible. They're worth your time, but you've probably seen them a lot. I want to get to one more clip I thought was really important because, again, it just highlights the contrast. And then I want to get to the most important part of the show, which is the reaction. Because even hardcore Democrats, Axelrod, John Carl, these are activists. They pretend to be media people and analysts. Not Axelrod, but they're kind of acknowledging the same thing. Hey, man, this was a really good moment for Trump. And maybe the Democrats just should have shut up, let him have his moment, because you're not going to win. And not fail the open book test and then move on. People forget about everything, even great speeches. They couldn't do it. They shit the bed last night. All right, quick break and we'll get back to the show. Hey, a lot happened while I was back in D.C., like gold jumping over 60% in the past year. You've been watching it? I track it every day. Keep it on my home screen. Not the gold, the price. That'd be pretty tough. Gold's heavy. I'm going to be honest, I'm feeling pretty good about buying gold from Birch Gold, BIRCH right about now, and I'm really grateful they're back with me as a sponsor. A lot of you know the story. I didn't want to endorse a gold company, but Paula convinced me. She's been a huge believer in gold, as I have for a long time, so we took on Birch, and we're proud to have them for a long time as a sponsor. I got to learn more about the need for financial diversification from Birch Gold. It worked out well for me. I started buying gold from Birch Gold. I became a huge believer. I've always talked about gold on the show. It's nothing new, but this is a really great company. I'm proud to have them with me. There's freedom in financial diversification, and Birch Gold is the only gold company I choose to do business with and have for a few years now. But I encourage you to learn for yourself. Text my name, Dan, my first name, to the number 989898. Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on how to convert an eligible IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold. That's right, own gold in a tax-sheltered account. Again, text my first name, Dan, to the number 989898 and see if owning gold is right for you. Message and data rates may apply. Thank you, Birch Gold. Really appreciate it. Our next sponsor, Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile. Been with me forever. America's about to celebrate its 250th anniversary. What better day to be a patriot? And what company out there has supported patriotic American values since their inception? Patriot Mobile. They love American patriots. That's why it's in their company name, Patriot Mobile. Listen, a lot of these wireless companies don't care about who you are or what you believe. Many of them probably just don't even like you. Not Patriot Mobile. They love American values. A lot of these companies just want your money. Patriot Mobile's different. For more than 12 years, they've stood with Americans who believe freedom is worth defending, supporting the Christian conservative movement when others stayed quiet. And here's the deal. You don't have to give up quality or service when you switch to Patriot Mobile. They deliver premium priority access on all 3 major U.S. networks, so you get the same or better coverage than you have today. You can't lose. You think switching's a hassle? It's not. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their 100% U.S.-based customer support team can activate you in minutes. Still paying off a device? No problem. Patriot Mobile even offers a contract buyout. This is a defining year. We got to work together to save our country. So go to patriotmobile.com/Dan or call 972-PATRIOT. Use promo code Dan for a free month of service. It's a great deal. That's patriotmobile.com/Dan or call 972-PATRIOT and make the switch today. Thank you, Patriot Mobile. Okay, here's my last clip from the president's speech before we get to the reaction component, which is just as important. Always remember, measure success by your opponent's reaction. And the freak out on the left was apparent. Here was President Trump last night absolutely roasting the Democrats in the behavior in the chamber, by painting the contrast himself. This is genius. It wasn't just the bear trap, he said, that these idiots walked in despite the warning. Here's a bear trap, don't step in it. You have to paint contrast. Contrasts matter. They make the same thing seem that much, same diamond seem more lustrous on a different background. So here's what he does here. He talks about his policies, but then he roasts the Democrats to their face, talking about what he saved you from in the prior Biden-led Democrat administration. This is what Americans need to hear. Check this out.
Decades before I came along, we had the exact opposite. From trade to healthcare, from energy to immigration, everything was stolen and rigged in order to drain the wealth out of the productive, hardworking people who make our country great, who make our country run. Under Biden and his corrupt partners in Congress and beyond, it reached a breaking point with the Green New scam, open borders for everyone. They poured in by the millions and millions from prisons, from mental institutions. They were murderers, 11,888 murders. They came into our country. You allowed that to happen. And record-setting inflation that cost the typical family $34,000 in just a speck of time. Now the same people in this chamber who voted for those disasters suddenly used the word affordability, a word. They just used it. Somebody gave it to them, knowing full well that they caused and created the increased prices that all of our citizens had to endure. You caused that problem. You caused that problem.
We were at 9% inflation, 10 million people crossing the border illegally. Street crime was not out of control, was coming down, but was not anywhere near the levels of control Donald Trump implemented. The economy wasn't growing. There was government red tape left and right. You had DEI in locker rooms. You had men swinging their units around in women's locker rooms, and lefties like, yeah, this is freaking great. You have to remind them where we came from. That's how you create contrast. Nobody understands this better than this White House messaging machine. Nobody. Nobody's done it like this guy. No one. You think you've done better? Show me. Tell me a president in the Republican side in the last 40 years who scored these kind of wins with the minority community in traditionally Democratic states. He won Pennsylvania. He won Rust Belt states. This stuff doesn't happen on a regular basis except with President Trump because the messaging is just better. Reaction. How do you know the speech was a success? Because you measure it by the opponent's reaction. That is always the way to gauge a successful political, speech, event, whatever it was. Here's Representative Robin Kelly on this panel on a podcast here talking about last night. And you want to talk about just, I don't want to call this a meltdown. That's like a Democrat thing. Sometimes there is a meltdown. We use it in the title too. But this was just like, how do I downplay President Trump celebrating National Guardsman Wolf and others, these military heroes? You saw a bunch of medals given. This is the kind of thing Representative Robin Kelly apparently doesn't get. You just say, hey, listen, she's a Dem, obviously. You come out and you say, hey, I don't like President Trump, whatever it may be, his policies, maybe make some, a mention of the military or whatever, but we love our military, was a nice moment, you move on. How do you fail this test? Here's how you fail it. She starts making fun of these military medals. Hey, it's like Oprah, you get a medal, you get a medal. Total, complete loser stuff right here. He, again, just dog walked him right into this. The answer was easy. Check this out.
Was there, and it was as horrific as I thought it would be.
Did you leave early?
Absolutely.
It was like an award show. You get a medal. You get a medal. You get a medal. That's literally Mo just said. You get a car. You get a car. Y'all are on the same page.
That was what State of the People show. If that's the state of the people, good luck. Good luck on the other side of the aisle. That's your message. It's like Oprah Winfrey giving away cars. The guardsman was almost murdered, and his partner was. It was a ground ball, man. All you had to do was thank them for their service and move on. You couldn't even do that. Now, what is the key capstone project for Democrat stupidity every single time? Whenever you hear the racist card come out, you know they effed up because it's the only thing they have. Now, if you're listening to this, go, no way they tied fake racism charges. And what about the speech could have possibly be perceived as racist? It doesn't matter. This is Representative Janelle Bynum. Here she is commenting on the speech. This is how you know he won last night. They gotta dig up phantom charges of racism because they just don't have anything else. This is always, always the exclamation point on we screwed up last night. Check this out.
What do you think about that moment when the president was asking Democrats to stand up for American citizens during that part of the speech when he was talking about immigration and immigration enforcement efforts?
I think you can agree with the what, like standing up for American citizens, but I disagree with the how. And so it's always about how do we bring our country together, but not stand on the backs of others. There's thinly veiled racist language, anti-immigrant language in what he was asking, and that was uncomfortable.
It was. She was uncomfortable, fellas. She wasn't uncomfortable. She's making that up. That is it. Telltale sign. Bookmark it. Whenever you hit, you know it. You know they dropped the L. Big time L. You may say, okay, let's hear some. David Axelrod is a hardcore political activist. If you don't know Axelrod, or Axe as they call him, Axelrod was basically President Obama's and Senator Obama before he was president. He's his consigliere. This guy was his political strategist. It's his right-hand man. Whenever Axelrod or Axe is talking, you can assume it's Obama, like a puppet with them, the marionette with the puppet strings. This is really, whenever he's talking, Obama's talking. Here's Axelrod himself. You're not going to meet a more hardcore, like pro-Obama guy. I mean, not totally capitulating, but being pretty candid that, you know what? a pretty good speech. Again, is it going to be transformative? Are we going to win, 350 seats in the House? No. But if I'm picking a team after last night, I sure as shit want to be on Trump's team and not the Democrats' F-Ice Pins team. Check this out.
He also basically kept control of himself, which I think will be a great relief to his strategists and aides there. But the question, I think he did well from their perspective for the reasons that you say, John, and he used the gallery very skillfully to kind of simulate empathy, which is a thing that he's been lacking. And that's sort of a surrogate for that. The question is, he started off the speech by saying, this is the turnaround for the ages. Right. And as you know, because you're traveling around the country, people don't think the direction is right. And I don't think this cured that. So we'll see. But I don't think a lot of the people who needed to be persuaded probably were watching this speech.
I didn't want to be accused of taking him out of context like they do for us, so I left a piece in at the end where he's critical as well. He's like, well, it wasn't so much of a turnaround. Well, obviously, I disagree. If you watched yesterday's show, even the New York Times hit piece on President Trump had to acknowledge that everything he said about inflation, immigration, and crime and the economy is correct, the jobs numbers. You just don't like it. But I want you to remember something about politics, because Axelrod's right. You don't have to like him, and I certainly don't like his politics. I think that's a pretty fair assessment, correct? He's not wrong. Politics is about telling a story. And the reason Obama was so effective and really, decimated our country, his political effectiveness, folks, you can't deny it. His policies were a freaking disaster, ruined the place, set up the whole DEI bullshit, the destruction of our military. Economic takeover by the G. Just a mess. But Axelrod always told Obama, make it about a story. Politics are about a story. And he's right. He used the chamber to tell the American people a story. Folks, anybody can get up there with spreadsheets like Mamdani did when he wanted to raise your taxes, and he's looking to raise your taxes in New York. He said, here's the spreadsheet of expenses. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. Spreadsheets can actually be effective if they're part of a larger story. I knew a candidate in Maryland that used one really well. But he would pull out this spreadsheet and he wouldn't read you the spreadsheet. It was a spreadsheet of Maryland finances, but he would explain to you how with simple math we could win. He made it part of a story. Trump did that masterfully yesterday, and it's why the Democrats are reacting the way they did. Here's pretend journalist John Carl, because they're not really journalists. They're opinion guys. Let's get over it. Just admit your opinion, guys. Not that personal. It just is the way it is. Here's John Carl, though, from the other side, in case you think I'm full of shit. You're just overly optimistic about President Trump's speech last night. I'm just telling you what the other side's saying, too. Here's John Carl, ABC, saying, hey, man, you know what? Pretty effective. Did a good job. Listen to their perspective on it. Check this out.
Had the makings of they had real high moments of patriotism, great stories he told. He gave out 2 congressional medals of honor. He gave out a Medal of Freedom. He gave out 2 Purple Hearts. He gave out a Legion of Merit. He had, great stories to tell when he recognized people like Buddy Tackert, who's going to turn 100 on the 4th of July.
Carl is correct. If you ever run for office or you're an activist, people think in narratives. Make sure you tell a story. Tell a story. Come in there with an overarching narrative where the chapters fit in with the theme of the book, and you'll win. If you go in there and you're just completely disjointed, pulling out spreadsheets, talking about math all the time, you're probably going to lose the debate. Now, I don't know about you, but I like to hear from voters too. So here's a panel they put together. You're going to hear this Michigan voter, and here's how regular, normal, everyday people reacted. Again, proving the point I brought up in the beginning of the show. Snapshots, sound bites, contrast. That's it. That's how most of America is going to see last night's speech. If you don't understand that, get out of the politics game. It's not for you. Here's a regular on-the-ground voter in Michigan talking about how, man, I can't believe they didn't get up. Like, this was an open book test. You totally flunked. I told you, man, this was a mess for the Democrats last night. They asked a question they did not know the answer to. Check this out.
part of the speech that's probably going to live on for most Republicans is when he asked the Congress, stand up if you think your duty is first to American citizens before illegal aliens. Republicans stood up. It gave him his most sustained applause for the night. I suspect, man, you're going to see this in a lot of campaign ads, that Democrats wouldn't stand up. What did you all think of the showmanship of that, or of sort of the spectacle of trying to get Democrats to stand up for that?
Well, I think the point, I think that you know, and it may have gotten a little muddled, but, you know, in the showmanship, but I think his point is valid. Everybody in that room represents the citizens in this country. And are you doing your job? He should, you know, the governor asked, is Trump doing his job? Trump asked, are all of you doing your job?
That's just a regular voter, man, on a CNN panel. Like, hey, guys, you work for us. Is that really the look you want out there? One final contrast, and I want to get to, I want to move on to another really important topic, the Democrat clown car. You'll see what I mean. Well, yes, it is a clown car, but it's not my terminology. It's not mine. It's going to be important in a second, so don't miss this. But here's the biggest contrast of all. Contrasting presidents with presidents. I saw this on X yesterday. I got to tell you, I don't even know if this was real. Hat tip, the great Miguel Fornia had this up there. I don't even know if this is real. This was one of the prior State of the Union addresses by a prior president. And even this is a test. If you're watching live on Rumble right now, you'll know right away, obviously. But if you're listening on Apple and Spotify, even if I were just to change the voice here, you would know exactly who this was. Here is a prior State of the Union. Talk about a contrast, the diamond on a black background. Imagine listening to this again. Check this out.
Predecessor came to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned. He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags about it. Look at the chaos that has resulted.
What? What the hell was that? Is that even English? What is that, Swahili or something? That was spaghetti brains, Biden the last time.
Came to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned. He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags
play the beginning
about
again?
Wait, look at the chaos that has resulted.
Play it again one more time. I want to.
My predecessor came to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned.
Okay.
He's the
I
reason
think
it was
I got
overturned,
it.
and
Okay.
he brags about it.
Did he say my predecessor came to office to see if Roe v. Wade was overturned? Is that what I had to hear? I don't know. Andy's inside like, I don't freaking know. Justin's got this sweater. He never takes are you cold? Are you dying? Do you have like influenza?
I'm actually okay right now, but you keep it at 65 in here, man.
I do.
Like, it is cold.
He's right. I do keep it at 65. It is. It's freezing.
Cold inside, cold outside.
89,000 in the chat today. Yes. Yes. Bongino Army. You guys, I didn't even notice that. I didn't look at the chat in a few minutes. I'm sorry. Democrat clown car. Not my words, although I agree. You think we got a bunch of problems? Listen, I'm going to bring this up with Congressman Eli Crane in about 25 minutes. Great congressman. It's going to be a really good interview. I'm going to ask him about the military presence over in the Gulf and in the Red Sea and a potential attack in Iran. Why? Because it's really important we as Republicans, can openly debate this stuff. However, there's a lot of schisms on our side, and sometimes we tend to think, oh my gosh, it's total chaos. It's not total chaos. When you poll the Republican Party, Donald Trump has upwards of 90+% support. It's not chaos. All these people and doomers going, Trump is finished if he doesn't do what I want. He's never going to do what everybody wants all the time because everybody wants different things. The debate is healthy. That's a good thing. I only bring this up because, please, do not think for a second that this is like siloed in the Republican Party. The Democrats are a total complete mess. Donald Trump, there's unified support for him, 90+%. You're never going to get a better number. You always ask a kid in school, like, who wants homework? One kid always raises his hand. You're never going to get 100% of anything. 90% is amazing. The Democrats are only 3 years away, actually 2 years away, probably less in campaign season terms, from a presidential election primary season, and the Democrats have no idea what they even want. They have a bunch of garbage candidates. Kamala Harris, who just got her ass handed to her in the election by Trump. Gavin Newsom, who runs California, enough said. Edge, who couldn't even run the transportation department. These are their candidates. AOC, who it's the queen of word salads. What do you think about Taiwan? Where'd I get the clown car line from? CNN, not me. They did a poll of Democrats. They're not unified. They're all fractured. They don't know where the hell they're going to go in this next election. Check this out.
And this is just a downright clown car at this point on the Democratic side. I mean, just take a look here. Top choices for the 2028 Dem-Pres nominee. You have a leader, but it's not really a clear leader. It's within the margin of error. You have Newsom at 19%. Then you have former Vice President Kamala Harris at 18%. Quite a weak number for her, given that, of course, she was the nominee last time around. Pete Buttigieg, who, of course, has run before, 13%. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at 12%. This is just a total clown car. It is a total mess. There is no clear front runner at this particular point on the Democratic side. Who the heck knows who the nominee is going to be in 2 years?
Now we're at 91.5. So nice. Man, it's good to have you all back. Gosh, I love you all. It's not my words. It's Harry Anton, the pollster guy at CNN. Imagine the CNN audience hearing this, thinking, oh, the Republicans are in chaos. We're not in chaos. Republicans have different ideas. On taxes, we all like low taxes, correct? But people have different ideas. Someone wants, president likes no tax on tips. Some people like a flat tax. Some people like a fair tax. You ever want to start a fight on X? I'll give you a tip. Having run for office a couple of times. Go out there on Twitter and say, I prefer the flat tax over the fair tax. I prefer the fair tax. However, watch how many people, there are people who are really passionate about this. It doesn't mean they hate Donald Trump. It just means within our tent, we're not all freaking robots. The Democrats all agree on the same thing. Cut kids' nuts off, put men's penises in the women's room, confiscatory wealth taxes, steal people's money, government controls your health care, defund the police, cut military funding. It's unified. It's unified and stupid. However, they have such poor messengers, they can't even decide. You're going to run Gavin Newsom? Are you freaking serious? You're going to run Gavin Newsom. The guy ran California into the ground. You're going to run Kamala Harris again? I'm not telling you who to vote for, man, but that is one awful candidate. She could not get out of her own way. She was handed $1 billion and the nomination. She had no primary at all and got absolutely freaking smoked. Smoked. Buttigieg? That's your guy? He's the king of word salads. AOC's the queen of neologisms. He makes up words, AOC. And that video the other day, her talking, it looks like she was on a bender with someone snoring in the background. I was like, what is going on here? This lady have a big meal before? Like, what is going on? And I'm like, oh, it's a guy snoring. Really? That's your candidate? We've got this insanely good bench of probably 5 to 10 people who could run. Not telling you anything's going to be an easy win. It's not. The midterms are going to be tough. I'm just telling you again, I'd rather be on this side of the fence than theirs. All right, this is an important clip. I do these timeline cleanse videos once in a while because Jasmine likes them. But no, because I like them too. We do a lot in this show, but I don't do a lot of culture stuff. However, when something catches my eye, I want to put it out there. And I put it out there when it affects me too. Folks, we talk about politics on this political show all the time and how new media, how mastering Twitter and Snapchat and TikTok and everything from Reddit forums and elsewhere, learning how to process this information matters. If you don't understand snapshots and sound bites, you're going to lose. And you have to understand new media. However, new media, it's great, democratizes information. The downside to it is we're all married to our phones all the time. Folks, I'm on this. Matter of fact, Haley's show, scrolling, she puts up her screen time. It's like 23 and a half hours. I don't know when she sleeps. That's the name of her show. I'm on a lot. I average about 9 hours a day because I have to. I don't want to miss anything. I have the fear of missing out, little FOMO. I don't want to miss a good story. I just don't. These guys know. I send them. We have an email for I almost just said it live, the email. We have a show prep email. I almost just outed it. We get 1,000 emails. I'm sending them stuff at 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday sometimes because I don't like to miss stuff. But I'm going to tell you, as a dad, I've fallen a little short on this, sometimes a lot short. Man, you got to get your face out of this phone. And I'm talking to me too. This is not me trying to, be anyone's sociologist here or family therapist. I do this too, especially with young kids. They need to see your face. So I saw this tweet the other day, and it was about a study they had done with a mother staring at a child's face and how that face-to-face eye contact for babies and even I would say toddlers and young children, that matters. Your attention matters to them. Watch this quick video. And listen, this is for me too. Again, I'm not trying to be anyone's family therapist. I have made this mistake as well. Your kids are the most important thing in your life. They're a gift from God. When they're talking to you, I've made it a concerted effort to drop that phone. Look at the difference when the mom isn't staring. Check this out.
She gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her. This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this. And then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, come on, why aren't we doing this? Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction, they react with negative emotions, they turn away, they feel the stress of it, they actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
Gosh, that's so sad to watch. I've had 2 young children, they're older now. But I just throw that out there because that's for me. And hopefully it helps a few people too. Because we live busy lives. We're like, I'm just going to look at this thing while they're talking to us. Just put it down. I'm going to try better myself. I've been guilty of this, really guilty of it. And you watch that video, tell me that doesn't sting. That's like a tattoo on the brain you won't forget. So I thought I'd throw that out there. And now that we've extended the show, I'm able to do more things. And I'm really proud of that, interviews and other stuff. I'm really enjoying the new lengthened format of the show. Congressman Eli Crane coming up in about 10 minutes. But let me get back to business right now. Folks, what's the greatest superpower in the world? I've said this over and over. Those P1s in the chat, Bongino Army folks, what is the greatest superpower in the world? That's achievable. I'm not talking about like Cyclops laser vision out of the eyes. The greatest superpower in the world is not the ability to squat 800 pounds. The greatest superpower in the world is not the ability to bend metal. The greatest superpower in the world is the ability to command attention. It's why Donald Trump, even in the 45 to 47 break when he was a former, was still the most powerful Republican on the planet. And he will be even in the post-presidency because he has an ability a lot of politicians don't. I don't know how to describe it. The French call it the je ne sais quoi. He's got this I don't know ability to command attention. Listen to me. I'm not messing around. It is the greatest superpower in the world. The reason I bring it up a lot is when I agreed to go in the government to serve for the year, I had to be quiet. I brought this up a couple times about things because it's not about you. It's about the administration. You got to just shut up and do your job. And I was proud to do it. But when you've been in the business of a microphone for 10 years where you have the attention of people and you want to speak out, I got to tell you, man, it rips at your soul sometimes. And you realize the power of it hits you that much. Contrast, right? Right back to the beginning of the show. Microphone, no mic. You see the contrast right there. The greatest superpower in the world is the ability to command attention. Nobody understands this better than not just a President Trump, but the people he surrounds himself with. President Trump has got some messengers there who I'm telling you have just nailed this attention economy. They've nailed it. They pick people who understand how to grab people, grab their emotions, command their attention. They know it's the greatest superpower in the world. It's an even bigger superpower than a supermajority on both sides. Here's what I'm talking about. Did you see this new ad release by the White House? These guys are just kicking ass and racking up W's. This is just great. We played the ICE ad the other day. Here's another banger. Check this one out.
2.5 million illegal immigrants leaving the U.S. over the past year. Nearly 600,000 arrests, over 600,000 deportations, nearly 2 million voluntary self-deportations. And get this, 8 months of zero releases at the border.
President Trump's border policies are serving as a deterrent at the U.S. southern border as illegal crossings have hit another record low.
It is an undeniable fact that illegal crossings at the southern border have plummeted, a staggering decline.
ICE says they can finally do their jobs.
This is truly an extraordinary turnaround at the U.S.-Mexico border.
Because President Trump is sitting in the Oval Office, every American put their head on the pillow tonight, knowing that Border Patrol's on that border, stopping all threats coming across the most secure border in the history of this nation. ICE agents and FBI agents are working 24/7, 365, every hour of every day, taking public safety threats and national security threats off our streets. Sleep well, America, because we're keeping America safe. If you think we're doing good now, you just wait till this coming year.
Every time, it's like one banger after another. It's like an album with 100 hits on it. It's like Pink Floyd The Wall before Roger Waters went crazy. Comfortably numb, man. It still gets me. They just get it. Notice on that, I'm not going to play it again, but if you're watching on Rumble VOD video on demand later, obviously not live now, rewind the tape and watch it again. Notice the imagery. Pause it every few seconds. Notice how the images were carefully selected because they understand the snapshot and soundbite culture better than anyone. No one's done it like this. Nobody. Donald Trump is not running for re-election, but he wants the American people to understand, the taxpayer, what their government is doing in their name now. And I applaud them for doing it. These videos are not expensive to produce, by the way. It just requires a good eye for snapshots and sound bites, and nobody does it better than them. Because they've got the results to speak about. What they're saying about the border, you heard Homan at the end, this is just the beginning, is accurate. The border is effectively shut down for the first time in, 50 years, maybe more. Here, don't take my word for it, because you may think, oh, you got a vested interest in this. You served in the FBI. Of course you're going to talk about crime lower and all. Yeah, of course I've got a vested interest. I'm also an American citizen who doesn't want to get dead. I want some lunatic showing up to mug me outside of the studio here and knifing me in the kidneys either. But don't take my word for it. I pulled this clip off, went viral yesterday. I saw it on social media. This is Claremont County, Ohio. This is the sheriff out there. This is him. It's not me. Talking about the massive effort President Trump on down to support law enforcement through federal support, state support, local support, help them all at every level. Here he's talking about overdose deaths. It's a quick clip, but I want you to listen to the numbers here. And he's telling you himself the difference between the Biden years and now. These numbers don't lie. Check this out.
Joe Biden's first term, we experienced 74 drug overdoses. In 2025, after President Trump took office, we had 14. So in our county, that was historically low. We're off to 1, possibly 2 this year, so it's continuing to decrease.
They're just numbers, folks. They're just numbers, but they're not just numbers. They're lives. They're not just numbers. They're lives. You can crap on President Trump's record all you want, but those people are alive right now because of him. I'm going to tell you what the second greatest superpower in the world is. I don't think I mentioned this before. And a lot of us fail at this. This is tough. Any guesses out there in the chat? No, not money. Money's pretty powerful, but that's not it. The second greatest superpower in the world that's attainable for anyone with enough skill is surrounding yourself with a network of good people. Oh, that's too... No, I'm serious. Folks, it is really, really hard to do that because good people don't have a scarlet letter on their head that says, scarlet letters were the Hester Prynne. Well, I should say bad people don't wear this. That's probably a better way to phrase it. They don't have like a B on their forehead, Hester Prynne style. Look, I'm bad. Bad people never tell you they're bad people. And some bad people with sociopathic tendencies, as I told you in the beginning of the show, talking about my experience interviewing lunatics who would threaten the president, are really damn good at hiding their bad people. Even the best, most intelligent people in the world sometimes pick a bad football coach. And I was watching this show about the Cowboys in honor of producer Jim, who loves the Cowboys. And Jerry Jones was talking about how he just sometimes got it wrong with the whole coach situation. Jerry Jones made a lot of money in business. Sometimes you just screw up. I told you, Doran, when I was doing the show before I left, I told you that the benefit of a Trump 47 term when the election was going on between him and Kamala Harris is the fact that it's his last term and he's not going to be constrained by any pressure to get reelected. And I said, second, do you guys remember this, you P1s out there? I said, another thing is I know he learned a lot of lessons from 45. His 45 term where he tried to be kind of a team of rivals. Let me, bring in Tillerson and others and people and it just didn't work out. But he learned from that. And in his second term, he picked the freaking Avengers and went out there. And that's how this stuff got done and got done quick because he got people and put people in positions who were going to do it. Here he is talking to on a sports show podcast about exactly that, how this knack for picking good people is so important. This is the second greatest superpower in the world. And a lot of us have a tough time with this one. Check this out.
Thousands of people in the business world. You've vetted people for cabinet positions, but you've sat across from them like we're doing right now.
Right.
What do you look for in someone to know, that's the characteristic I want. That's a guy or that's a girl I want on my team?
Well, I have it a little bit now in my staff. I have a great staff. I have, really good people working for me. I would say first term, I had never done it before. I won, I came out of business. And I had some very good people, but I had some people that I wouldn't have chosen had I had a little more experience. Once I got all that experience, now we have an unbelievable cabinet. And, experience really helps. You see people under fire when you go in there and you don't have that feel, not good. But there's a great deal of experience. I think there's also an instinct. I've had a good instinct for people. I think I've had a good instinct for athletes. But Herschel's a special guy. I think Herschel did really well. He tried really hard with his Senate run. And I think he did really well. I think he got some unfair treatment, frankly.
It's hard, man. That's really, really difficult. I told you, given my where I just came from, people don't advertise if they're bad actors. You have to find, investigate, take action. It's not always easy to do. No one comes in and advertises, hey, I'm part of the weaponized portion of the place. No one does that. They do their best to hide it. And not everybody was eager to help. All right, I got Congressman Eli Crane coming up, Navy SEAL, represents Arizona District 2. I had him on as a guest because he's a really good guy, but, I'm not in the good guy business. One of the things that stuck out about him is when I was over there working for you all, there were people who would actually reach out to us, and there were others we'd reach out to them, and it would take forever to get pissed. Someone just ignore us. Congressman Crane would reach out all the time. How can I help on this? How can I help on national security threats? How can I help on drones? How can I help on this 764? If you don't know about 764 and the network trying to get at your kids, we're going to talk to him about that too. His office was great on that. So that's coming up in a minute. But I just want to remind you again, the Rumble Shorts, please download or update the Rumble app. You will get shorts in there. You'll see right here, Rumble Shorts. It is basically a free speech TikTok. Rumble's always supported free speech. That's why I love it. People come on the platform, love me, hate me. It's not about me. It's about free speech, having an opinion. I get to respond back. That's what's great about the marketplace of ideas. Rumble Shorts, you can see, gives you these short, digestible short videos like TikTok style. It's taken off, tens of thousands of views on a lot of these videos, and enables you to share segments from the show if you want. If you don't, that's fine, but without clipping them yourself. Rumble Shorts, please go and download or update the Rumble app. Also, if you want to watch the show on TV, Rumble has on your smart TV an app available. Just search the apps on your TV, Rumble, download, and you can watch on your TV. A lot of people choose to watch it that way. So we really appreciate it. All right, great interview with Congressman Eli Crane, the 764 threat and other things, including drones. You know, I'm obsessed with this because, folks, it's going to happen. And when it happens here, every single person's life is going to change. You're going to walk out of your house, and anytime you hear a buzz, everybody's going to go like this. It's a very serious threat. Whether it's my time working in the government or getting back behind the microphone, one thing that keeps me going is a quality, good night of sleep. You need sleep. The restorative properties of sleep are unmatched, not only for mental clarity, but physical health as well. That's why I rely on Helix mattresses, Helix. Paul and I have had a Helix mattress for years now. We've had a couple of them, actually. We're happy we made the change. Helix matches you with the perfect mattress based on your personal preferences, not one for someone else. And your sleep needs too. It makes buying a mattress super easy and personalized to you. You can have confidence with your match with seamless returns and exchanges. The Happy with Helix guarantee offers you a risk-free, customer-first experience designed to ensure you're completely satisfied with your new Helix mattress. My guys here in the studio have them too. They're hooked on their Helix mattress after getting their match on their preferences. So go to helixsleep.com/Dan for 27% off site-wide. It's Helix. helixsleep.com/Dan. Get your new mattress today, 27% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. Again, helixsleep.com/Dan. Really appreciate it. Helix and Kalshi. Listen, you know I'm not a huge gambler, but I've been having a lot of fun looking at marketplace predictions for everything from politics to sports. It's a trip. And Kalshi is where I get the best insights on predictions, from sports to politics to finance or any variety of markets people are monitoring. Kalshi.com is a bookmark you need. You really should check it out. I featured them in my last election special, and they were spot on. Our president was elected as predicted. Kalshi.com is one of the only places where you can trade on real-world events in all 50 states. Go to Kalshi, it's KALSHI.com/Bongino and get a free $10 credit when you trade $100. And it's not just politics or economics. They've got markets on everything from sports to pop culture to climate predictions. Kalshi has a pulse on what the world thinks is going to happen. Go to Kalshi.com/Bongino and get a free $10 credit when you trade $100. That's KALSHI. Kalshi.com/Bongino. You must be 21. And the purchaser must be present in the state where the trade is placed. See important disclosures at Kalshi.com. Kalshi is subject to U.S. regulatory oversight by the CFTC. Welcoming to the show today, a congressman who has worked extensively with me, the FBI, and the government national security apparatus on all the pressing issues at the time. Great guy, American patriot, Navy SEAL, represents Arizona Congressional District 2, Congressman Eli Crane. Welcome to the show. Good to have you.
Hey, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, hey, listen, I wanted to have you on in the first month on the air because you and I had the opportunity to work together in the federal government. I'm going to get to the State of the Union in a minute, but one of the things, you came in early and you reached out to us. I want people to understand there are some congressmen up there that are there for the parties and the lobbyists and whatever, the tea and crumpets. You're not one of them. You actually reached out early and said, Dan, this drone problem, it's a really, really pressing big deal. How can I help? I said, you want to come on over? You said, I'm there. And I think you came over the next week. We met over in the FBI headquarters building. This is a real threat. You were a Navy SEAL. It presents really obvious issues. It's the tactical high ground. Human beings can't fly. They're tough to intercept. The technology's evolving. I'm really worried about this. How many colleagues of yours up on the Hill understand the problem like you do and are ready to do something about it?
Well, thanks, Dan. I think that it's growing. The awareness is growing thanks to efforts from many of us to beat this drum and sound the alarm. I remember I went to Iraq 3 times as a SEAL, and you don't have to be a SEAL to know this. Any Marine or Army guy that was in country knew that the easiest way for us to get killed was with IEDs, improvised explosive devices. And I remember coming back to the States, and I would tell anybody that would listen, because I understand terrorists, I understand, that they consider us the great Satan. They would love to destroy us and install a global caliphate around the world, and they'll do anything they can to take down the West, the United States. And so I would tell anyone that would listen, Dan, friends, family members, anyone, that IEDs were going to be a problem. Just because I saw overseas how destructive they were and how hard it was, for us to deal with them, even with all the technology and weaponry that we have. And I remember, it wasn't long after that where you had the Boston bombings, where, a couple individuals that were radicalized, used, some little microwave, mini ovens to blow up a bunch of just peaceful folks that wanted to run in a marathon or watch a marathon. And I saw something similar, and it doesn't take rocket science to see this, but I saw what was going on as warfare was advancing overseas, primarily in Ukraine, with the drones. The battlefield has changed forever, and I knew that that was going to come to the States. And so, I wanted to do everything that I could to make sure that, my colleagues in Congress understood that that was going to be a very real threat in the future. And, I started reaching out to anybody and everybody that would take a meeting with me. And I'm grateful to you and Cash, at the FBI. You guys always were great about letting members come in and talk to you guys. And, I remember telling you that story when I came over to the FBI. Yeah. And it wasn't lost on me that you were very well aware of it. And you had a team of guys that you brought in that was dedicated to this threat. And so we talked through, the different threats, tethered drones, our mitigation efforts. You even told me you had somebody from the NFL in the week before to talk about what they're doing about it. So right. I knew that you were on top of it, but I also know that a lot of times in Congress, Dan, even if somebody's interested in an issue or they're concerned about it, it kind of stays siloed. And there's not a lot of reach out. There's not a lot of team effort. And so I wanted to do everything in my power to, ask you what I could do to help you guys keep the country safe. And you guys gave me some things that you were struggling with. And unfortunately, like many of the problems that we have in this country, the problem is right here in Congress, and members of Congress just not understanding the threats or, getting in little political fights over something or bipartisanship to where we're not focused on these threats that are coming to the United States. And we've seen them already come. You saw a major airport, have to shut down a couple weeks ago because of drones. It's just a matter of time. And you brought up, one of the things that I was pushing for, and I brought this up to you, was that, if we're going to have these FIFA World Cup games, and we had the committees of jurisdiction come before Homeland Security, let's try and have all these events in a dome. Because if you're in a dome, that mitigates almost 95% of the drone threat right there. They can't just fly these things into domes. Unfortunately, I found out that probably wasn't a reality because these games had been planned so long in advance. But, do everything you can. That's what the people who sent me to Washington expect me to do. Do everything I can to keep them safe, to put them first. And, that's what it's all about.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the bull by the horns on that and some initiative, because the threat is real. And you're right. You're a war fighter. Many members of Congress are, but many aren't. And this is not the kind of thing you want to wake up on a Saturday morning after a Friday night drone attack and go, hey, man, we didn't see it coming. You did see it coming. Everybody saw it coming. It's not the future. It's here now. So I'll get back to the national security picture in a minute, given your expertise in the space. But the State of the Union last night, I chose to take a different route earlier in the show in my coverage. It was an enormously powerful speech by President Trump. Listen, on my show, I'm not pretending to be objective. I'm obviously a MAGA supporter, but in my best attempt to be objective, I've seen quite a few of these. You have as well. I thought it was his best performance. I thought it laid out what I consider the golden year of politics for President Trump. But I covered a different angle of it, that you can always gauge the success in politics of whatever you did, a speech, an event, by your opponent's reaction. If they ignore it, you generally kind of flopped because they just want the story to keep going, so they let the media cycle run with it. They couldn't. They had counter events on the lawn. I think like 12 people showed up. They had frog shows. They had people with F-Ice pins on. You had Al Green get thrown out for some ridiculous racist sign up there. I mean, what a disaster for the Democrats in an environment of snapshots and sound bites. This did not look good by any objective measure.
No, it didn't, Dan. And there were a lot of members from the Democrat Party that didn't show up, and they'll sit there and tell you that the reason that they didn't show up is because President Trump is a racist, or he's this, or he's that. The bottom line is, Dan, many of them are very smart, and they know that nobody does a better job of exposing how crazy they are than President Trump. So they know that they're going to be a room in a room that's being watched by 20 or 30 million Americans for an hour and a half, and President Trump is going to put them in the hot seat multiple times as he talks about his vision, what this administration has done, and then he's going to make them either stand or sit. Right. And that's what he did a masterful job of last night. Was once again, Democrats, Dan, you and I both know Democrats don't need any help being crazy or looking crazy. But nobody exposes them like President Trump. And that's exactly what he did last night. So the Democrats that did show up, they put themselves in the hot seat. They were the ones that, supported all these policies like the open border policies, the trans policies, mutilating children. And so they had a choice last night. They could stand up and clap for, President Trump, awarding, the Congressional Medal of Honor, or, acknowledging a Gold Star mom who was in the audience, or even asking them, hey, stand up if you think that it's the government's primary responsibility to prioritize the safety of Americans over illegal immigrants. It was brilliant. And none of them stood up for that one. I think that was one of the first ones he did. And he just did a masterful job in exposing to the American people who these people really are.
Congressman, we're talking to Congressman Eli Crane. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, he is running for re-election. Fantastic congressman, Arizona Congressional District 2. Please get out and support him. Congressman, what's your website, by the way? If people want to look you up, just want to make sure I get that in there.
Yeah, they can find me crane.house.gov on the official side. If they want to find me on social media, Congressman Crane, Eli Crane CEO, any of those ways will get you to me.
Check them out. So, Congressman, having dealt with the Democrats for a long time, whether it was as a candidate myself at one point or having seen various administrations come and go, I'll give them this. Their message is always wrong. High taxes, government-controlled healthcare, open board. We get it. We all know it's wrong. But their messaging, listen, they win. They win a lot. They don't win all the time, thank the Lord. But they win a lot because their messaging is good, but their message always sucks. They know the way to frame an argument. They got the liberal media on their side. They are usually better at this. You just brought up a key point. Last night was such an open book test. You couldn't have possibly flunked this. You've got this poor woman, Ms. Zarutska's mother, lost her daughter in a brutal, caught-on-camera murder. This is a ground ball. This is a bunt. You get up, you acknowledge the tragedy of the situation. They're playing it now on the screen. Congressman, no one is ever, I don't understand when you're weighing the pros and cons, what is the downside of just getting up and acknowledging what this poor woman went through? It's almost like you just said, like, Trump flipped the stupid switch in these people and they just can't transition back to sanity.
Yeah, well, the con for them, Dan, is, if they do get up and clap, like actually John Fetterman, a lot of, this is something that I witnessed just being in, on the House floor last night. John Fetterman actually got up a lot and clapped for the president. And he was one of the only ones. Who would have thought that John Fetterman would be the most, sane Democrat, 3 years ago? But the downside for them is if they get up and clap, then their radical base flips out and goes nuts. They showed some type of public support for any policy of the president because he did a masterful job in tying all of those things to, the policy decisions and agenda of this administration. And so that's the downside for them. As you can see last night, once again, they failed miserably in showing the American people what exactly they do stand for.
We're talking to Congressman Eli Crane, C-R-A-N-E. Look him up. Give him a follow. Arizona Congressional District 2. Congressman, I know the filibuster's obviously on the Senate side. You're on the House side. However, you represent a substantial portion of the great state of Arizona. Your opinion matters. The SAVE Act. I don't think we're going to be able to save the country's electoral process without an integrated system of voter ID. It's just, again, the same thing to do. Upwards of 80% of voters across demographics and across parties support voter ID because it just makes sense. We all saw the joke with Mamdani. You need 2 forms of ID to shovel snow, literally, but he doesn't want ID to vote. That's absurd. Where do you stand? I know you support the SAFE Act, obviously, but where do you stand on pushing it through with either enforcing a talking filibuster? Again, I know it's on the other side, or scrapping the filibuster altogether.
I'm in supportive of that, Dan. If we're going to save this country, we've got to play offense. For far too long, I think one of the biggest problems on Capitol Hill is because you've got, a bunch of Republicans who their primary responsibility has just been to manage the decline of this country. Right. This is no longer the old Democrat Party, the old politics in the United States, big taxes versus little taxes. These people are trying to destroy the country. They would say fundamentally transform it. But when you look at where they come from and, with their socialistic tendencies and policies, their Marxist policies, right? Even you've got communists within their ranks. And, now they're aligning themselves with Islamists, jihadists. You got to choose where you're at. Do you want to help save this country or do you not? And if you do, you got to go on offense. And I will remind your audience, I know that they know this, Dan, because, they're a very well-informed audience, but it wasn't long ago that the Democrats were in control of Washington, D.C., and they tried to get rid of the filibuster. Yes. And the only 2 people that stopped them were Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, and those people are gone now. So I'm going to tell you again, Republicans right now, they are going to do this the moment that they get back in power. And if you don't beat them to the punch, you are a complete fool. If you don't do everything possible, if we don't do everything possible to push for the SAVE Act and voter ID, this country is going to continue to decline and go the way of a lot of these third world hellholes that people are fleeing from every single day to come to the United States from. That's just a fact.
Yeah. Congressman, that is a fact. And I wish people would make that argument like you just did. It's not about what's good or bad. Okay. It's about what's worse or worser or worstest, making up words. There's no good call here. Yes, I agree. Dumping the filibuster is going to make the Democrats who love bigger programs and more government, it's going to make it easier for them. However, that's not the choice we have. The choice is, can we preemptively do something about it before they do that and enact our own limited government agenda? I couldn't agree more. I wanted to switch gears a little bit. Again, given your space in national security, this is something we took very seriously in the FBI. It's a growing threat. I've been warning parents about it over and over and over again, using the show, social media, and your office could not have been more helpful. You've got an amazing staff. This 764 threat, it's this group of semi-organized, sometimes very organized, sometimes loosely organized group of animals. They go and they target kids in these chat rooms, gaming chat rooms and online. They get these kids, they groom them. They get them to do disgusting things. Congressman, I know you've seen some of the stuff. I'm actually hesitant to even talk about it. So gross. Cutting themselves, doing horrible things to animals. And it's probably really shocking to the public to hear this, but there's actually not a good, solid menagerie of federal laws to stop this stuff. There's actually stronger laws against torturing animals than there are getting kids to go and do these things to themselves. But your office has been really great, and this is a very real threat. We got to protect the kids.
Yeah, Dan, I'm going to commit right now to work with you and anybody else to get some of these stronger laws on the books right now. I didn't get a chance to, but I also want to give you a shout out. The president brought it up last night in his speech, as he went through, the differences between the Biden administration and the Trump administration. Crime and, murder, the murder rates being down 20%, that did not just magically happen. Okay, that happened, and I've heard you and Cash talk about it before, by bringing in people who are willing to let law enforcement and cops be cops, right? And do the job that Americans expect them to do. And so, I want to applaud you for that. I want to applaud the Trump administration for that. That's massive. That's going to save so many lives, and we got to see some of the families that have been affected last night at the State of the Union, some of whom the Democrats wouldn't even get up and clap for because they know deep down that they caused these very problems. but I will commit to you to work with you on this issue. As somebody who worked exclusively, in law enforcement, I'm always down to, take advice from those that are professionals in a field. And I have heard about this, 764, threat and what goes on in there. I won't claim to be an expert on it, but I will commit to work with you on this to try and get and beat that drum so that we can make sure our kids are safe.
Oh, that's just fantastic to hear. I'll take you up on that, Congressman. I really appreciate it. And I just want to give a quick shout out to the passionate group of online folks on Twitter and elsewhere who have been highlighting the magnitude of this horrifying problem and doing a ton of legwork on it. You all know who you are. I've got limited time with the Congressman. I mentioned you all by name, but you all know who you are. Congressman, last question for you. Again, you have an extensive array of experience in the national security space. There's an armada in the Middle East right now sending a don't mess around message from President Trump after he disabled the Iranian nuclear program. President Trump has always sought diplomacy first. He's not the kind of, shoot now, ask questions later president. He's just not. He's trying diplomacy. Diplomacy with the Iranians has never really been very successful. They're the death to America crowd. You don't deploy those kind of assets into the Middle East, air assets, waterborne assets, and more. You don't deploy those kind of assets without the intent to use them if the Iranians don't move on this program.
Yeah, Dan, this is something that, I tend to be a little cautious on. And I'll tell you why. As somebody who went overseas, lost a lot of friends, and then looks back on that situation, I know we spent a lot of blood and treasure overseas, primarily in the Middle East over the last couple of decades. I take these things very seriously because of how many Gold Star mothers that I personally know, how many friends of mine that didn't come home. I'm very cautious. When it looks like there's a chance for us to go to war, I want to make sure that we've exhausted all options. And our primary focus was on, handling it any diplomatic way that we can. But if we do use action against Iran, I hope it's as surgical as possible. I hope that we do not make a foolish mistake and get into some long, drawn out war where we're losing, hundreds or thousands of young Americans with their futures in front of them, spending money that we don't have. And so that is my message. That needs to be the last, chip that we play. If we have to play it, I hope and I pray that we don't have to play that chip, because, I've seen, and, there's a lot of people watching your show that lost a loved one in Afghanistan or Iraq. And when I look at where those places are now, and that has to be something that's factored into the decision making. Okay, you take out a regime, what's next, right? We do not have a good track record in the United States of America of, regime change, and then, that said country, becoming some beacon of freedom, that's no longer a threat to the United States. So we have to be level-headed about this. I know the president's been presented many plans. We have to pray for his wisdom and discernment in making these very tough decisions. I hope it doesn't go there, Dan, but if it does, I hope it's surgical. Something like, we saw in Venezuela. Those are two completely different battle sets and battle problems there. Iran is no Venezuela. Let's make no mistake about that. But, I want us to be as careful as possible to make sure we don't get in some extended, drawn out, World War III, in Iran or anywhere else.
Congressman, that's why I asked you the question. I have tremendous respect for you. And this is a healthy debate within the Republican Party. This is a debate that needs to happen. Unlike the Democrats that act like a bunch of robots and automatons, we're talking about something you just said. It gets me emotionally sometimes. We're talking about human lives, young, men and women who are going to go over there and potentially risk their own lives. That you're right. All avenues should be exhausted, and this has to be a deliberate process. But it's easy for guys like me who never served, and I didn't, I in a different capacity, but it's not the same. And I appreciate everybody who says that, but I did not serve like you did. I'm not even close. If you haven't, seen combat, your opinion's valuable. It's a republic. We all should express an opinion, but it doesn't carry as much weight as someone who's seen the scars of combat. And that's why what you said, I think, is going to resonate with my audience. And that's why I wanted to end with that question. I want to thank you for your service, not just in the Navy SEALs, Congressman, but also in the last year. Again, you were one of the few guys, a handful of guys that reached out directly. I'm going to impugn others. We reached out to others and they got back to us, but you were very proactive. What can I do? How can I help? And I just want the audience to know that not everybody's up there, sitting on their ass, drinking Sanka. There are people out there doing the work of the people, and you were one of them. So I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Dan, thanks for having me on, and thanks for being willing to go back into service. I know it's not easy, to come back into, one of the most swampy, wicked places on earth and serve your country in, but I appreciate you doing it, brother. I'm glad you're back on the airwaves. I want to give a shout out to Rochelle Martin, who's a massive Dan Bongino fan in Arizona. God bless you, brother.
Love you, Rochelle. Thanks, Congressman. Talk to you soon. That was Congressman Eli Crane. Yeah, well, definitely one of the good guys, folks. I try to bring you, a wide array of folks from the Senate, House side, political figures, thought leaders, and others. And I think so far we've been doing a pretty good job. We had a pretty good guest list, and we're working on some more coming forward. Got some big names we're getting ready to line up for you. Thank you again for joining us live, folks. Again, I reminded you earlier in the show. I'll remind you again, please update or download the Rumble app. We launched Rumble Shorts just the other day. The Rumble app is live now on iOS and the Google App Store. You'll see this is what Shorts looks like. Again, I showed you before. That's the Rumble web presence. You'll see the Shorts tab right there. What is Rumble Shorts? It's like TikTok, but with free speech. So it's taken off, the views on these things. Some of you like to share small snippets of the show. You don't have to do clipping or cutting. You can just go to Rumble Shorts and share from there. So download the Rumble app or just update the Rumble app you have now. And if you'd like to watch the show on TV, on your television, you can. There's a Rumble app for your smart TV, too. You can watch the show every day. Tune in live at 10 a.m., rumble.com/Bongino on your TV or on the Rumble app. It is free. If you wouldn't mind, click that subscribe button. It is free as well. We've been adding tens of thousands of new followers. Yesterday's show did bonkers numbers. Really appreciate it. And make sure you check out Haley and Vince at noon and 8 a.m. Vince Colonnese on Rumble, and then Haley at noon as well. I will see you back here tomorrow. And before I go again, thank you very much for all of the amazing support yesterday. I don't want to leave today without telling you that. I don't think you guys know how much that meant to me. I really appreciate it. Bongino Army, man. Loyal for life. Thank you all. See you back here tomorrow.
Hey there, I'm Vince.
I'm Haley Carania.
Host of Vince.
Host of Scrolling with Haley.
You can always catch my show right here.
Right here on the Bongino Report channel.
Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, weekday mornings.
Noon weekdays. And if you miss it, no worries. The show will always be right here and anywhere you find a podcast. Thanks for watching.